excited to bring in our good friend from Slam Magazine, Franklyn Calle, joining us this morning. He's the senior content producer for Slam. Franklyn, how's it going?
Doing well, boss. How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. Always good to see you. I know this, of course, has been tough times this entire year, looking for better things in 2021. Different time of year this year, of course, but you had a really cool experience on draft night. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was actually with Isaac Okoro in draft night, who went number 5 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So at Slam, we did, we followed him, his agent, his family throughout the day from morning to night. Showed him around, kind of just showing a day in a life video of what it's like to be a player on draft day. Usually they're in New York City. There's a lot of, red tape constraints. The NBA have them, for, 3-4 days in New York. They stay here in Midtown. The thing that was interesting was usually, the NBA gives you a couple of rooms complimentary for your family, friends, etc. So, more or less, you have your parents, a couple of cousins, aunts, uncles, etc. that come over. This year, because it was at home, the guys really got a chance to really spend the most special night of their careers with their actual family, extended family, friends, classmates, teammates, babysitter, etc. So it was super interesting to see, the draft becomes kind of this corporate event, more or less, right, for a lot of the guys just in general. And this time was just around family, around friends. Isaac Okoro's agent, Omar Cooper, has a bistro restaurant, that he owns, operates out in Atlanta. So they took over the entire lounge. It was just family, friends, classmates, etc., AAU teammates. So they would never get that chance probably ever again, right? Say next year it goes right back to the old way. Again, it's just a couple of rooms that you get complimentary. You can only bring so many people in. At Barclays, you only get so many free tickets. So you can't fly in 50 people, right? 60 people, not on their own dime. I mean, they can, but probably shouldn't. And so that usually is not the case. And so I think it was so cool to see, probably for the first time and only time ever, the draftees actually being with their extended family, extended friends, neighborhood, etc. Because that may not happen again. And so I do think that this is the most excited the kids ever were, the players were ever were, the most comfortable they ever were, and might be the only chance that it will ever be like that.
And with him going number 5 to Cleveland, that probably opened up the possibility for Obi Toppin to fall a couple more spots to the Knicks in the first round. I was hoping to get your perspective on a young man that, of course, was born in Brooklyn, New York, but kind of starred on the Westchester landscape and really has been a guy all over New York City, including the Bronx, playing at Hoops in the Sun growing up. And now he gets to live his dream and play for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously you couldn't have scripted it better for him in terms of, his landing spot. I mean, his first preseason game, 11 points, 7 rebounds, an assist and a block, played probably no more than 20 minutes. He was 4 from 9 from the field. So, as encouraging as a preseason debut that you can have, right? You saw his hops, you saw a little bit of everything, how efficient he is. So I thought it was very encouraging. It'll be interesting to see how, do him and Julius, does that work together on the same floor at the same time? What happens there? Who gets first bids in terms of who starts, who comes with the bench? So it'll be interesting to see how they go about that. I also think in general, like RJ Barrett had a rough first preseason game, but by the second night, he dropped. It was like 25 points, and so I think
better.
Right. And so that sophomore year leap will be interesting to see because a lot of guys, there's such a young team that it becomes a thing of like, who's going to make that leap, actually, that real leap, right? And, you could go down the list for, Mitchell Robinson. So, they, Kevin Knox, they have guys there, they have pieces there, but I think it'll be interesting to see, who actually makes the leap this season. But I think, Obi, also Moutier did not, Moutier. We have Quickly, right? Emmanuel Quickly did not get a lot of playing time the first night, but the second night did get some minutes here and there. And he's a shooter. People forget, he led Kentucky in scoring, right? He won SEC Player of the Year, and he's not talked about as much. But I think they got a real good one in Quickly as well.
Yeah, I think the Knicks definitely had a very good draft, and I think even fans at home were pretty excited to see them make some moves to go grab Miles Powell post-draft as an NBA free agent, of course, out of Seton Hall and a local kid. A lot of local flavor to the Knicks this year.
Yeah. I guess also it helps when you have Obi Toppin, you have Miles Powell. Those are OCA guys, and obviously from Leon Rose to William Wesley. So a lot of people made the connections, the dots there where it's very CA heavy. Gilchrist, right? So a lot a lot of players there. So that was interesting to see. But nonetheless, like Miles Powell's another guy, right? You know, he can light it up. You talk about like that New York flavor, right? He's played at the Garden, you know, Big East tournament every year, you know, so that is his home floor. If anybody's comfortable playing at the Garden, it's Miles Powell. If anybody's comfortable dropping buckets at the Garden, it's Miles Powell. So it was obviously really cool to see, and I think he has a chip on his shoulder. Obviously, you know, he fell to where he fell, and so but that's his home floor. So I think he'll be able to come in there and play, you know, very easily, comfortably.
And speaking of chips on their shoulder and maybe not being comfortable doing something, it seems these days in Brooklyn that Kyrie Irving is not too interested in speaking to the media. And I'm sure that, you know, if he performs well, like you said, and the Nets do well, and they maybe get to the conference finals or even somehow into the NBA finals, it won't matter what kind of personality traits that he displays. And I think, too, you know, most Nets fans are, of course, super excited about the prospects of pairing him, a healthy Kyrie, and then, of course, a healthy Kevin Durant together. Here in the preseason, KD has looked very much like the KD of the past. How excited are you to see the two of them finally get a chance to play together in Brooklyn?
It's so awesome, man. You know, he looks like you said it, he looks like his old self, right, so far. And you know, there were questions about, you know, what should expectations be to start the season, and is he going to ease into it? But it seems like his regular old self. I think, you know, chip on his shoulder, I think that's, you know, KD's another one, right? You know, there are all these articles about statistics and how many guys can really bounce back and be their old selves again, and how, you know, just a list of guys that were never able to come back and be there. So I think he knows that, and I think he has something to prove. And, you know, overall, I mean, you look at when it's all said and done, it should be on paper, I think, Lakers and Nets in the finals. I think that's a very high possibility. And, you know, you talk about the storylines there, right? Kyrie having to play LeBron for a whole series, right? After all those comments that have been made back and forth over the last couple of weeks. And, you know, KD having to go and see LeBron again, right, this time for a whole series. And so, you know, the interesting part, and I was mentioning this to a coworker, as of right now, the new Space Jam movie is slated to come out July 16th. And the NBA has scheduled the playoffs from May 22nd to July 22nd, meaning the very last game is 6 days after the Space Jam movie comes out. So depending, you know, whether they go 5, 6, or 7, and if the Lakers are in there, there's a really good chance that LeBron could win his 5th ring literally on the same weekend as Space Jam comes out. Wow. You know, think about just how it's the stars aligning, how all of that, right? What were the odds of that, right? You know, usually you have your finals in June to begin with. And it's funny because when you look back deeper into it, when the original Space Jam movie dropped, it was at the beginning of the season that he won his 5th ring. And now here's LeBron in the sequel, potentially winning it, but maybe even the same weekend that the sequel dropped.
During the pandemic, the sports landscape has been up and down. I feel like we've done a good job in this country of navigating the best that we could around it. But I just wanted to get your thoughts and your take on how challenging it's been to be a content creator, especially a content creator that works in sports.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, just like the rest of the world, I mean, like just like pretty much every other industry, there's been a lot of challenges, you know, among them being, little things like how many people are on set, right? So before, you know, everybody has a job and it's easy to navigate when everybody's taking care of something, but all of a sudden you pluck a couple of people out because of, you know, of limited people in the room. You're having to do 2, 3 jobs while you're on set, right? And there's not a separate sound guy or, you know, things like that, you know, production assistant, et cetera. So it's been challenging when you're on set, and, you know, we're very limited to the amount of people that can be there, and now you're doing multiple things at once. It's definitely made it difficult in that sense, but, you know, I think I'm just glad, and we are glad that everyone is trying to put the best foot forward and figure out a way to continue, keep the wheels rolling for now. It sounds like summer of 2021 or fall of 2021, things will kind of look a little more normal, but in the meantime, everybody has been working together to just figure out the best way to keep it moving.
Well, we're excited to have that content from you. It's always great to check in with Slam, whether it's online or even with the magazine. It's just great to see all the stuff that you guys have been able to put out there right now.
I appreciate it, man. That sounds awesome, man. Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming on with us.
Yes, sir.